Watches. You may have one on your wrist. You may have been passed one down from your father. Watches have come a long way from their humble beginnings and have evolved from a simple timekeeper to a statement piece resting upon a multi-billion-dollar industry. But how did it all begin? The earliest forms of timekeeping devices were known as sundials, which date back to the time of ancient Egypt around 1500 BC. Later, water clocks were then invented, which made use of the flow of water to measure time. However, these types of devices were not portable and they couldn't be carried around and worn like they are today. But it wasn't until the 16th century came that the pocket watches were invented, and they would become increasingly popular toward the era of the 17th century. Pocket watches were the first portable kinds of timepieces and were initially used by the wealthier of gentlemen. It wasn't until later in time, around the 20th century, that wristwatches became popular and gained traction. Initially, men had been using pocket watches, and smaller wristwatches had primarily been worn by women as jewellery, with more intricate designs and precious materials. As women entered the workforce during this time, their designs evolved to be more practical and functional than attractive. Although primarily as a result of the First World War, men began to wear wristwatches as soldiers at this time, as they needed more of a convenient way to keep track of time when in the trenches, and the wristwatches were the best solution, and their durability and reliability were a critical factor in their design and their development. In the earlier days of watches, their movements were purely mechanical in nature, driven by a spring that was wound by hand. The first watches had only an hour hand, and later a minute hand was added. These watches were often adorned with intricate designs and decorative elements, showcasing the true craftsmanship of their watchmakers. In the 60s, electronic watches emerged onto the market, which used battery to power a quartz crystal that regulated the watch's movement. These watches were far more accurate than their previous mechanical counterparts, and thus became increasingly more popular during the 1970s. With the advent of modern industrialization, watchmaking became more standardized and mass production techniques were introduced. This allowed watches to be produced in larger quantities, making them much more affordable and accessible to the general population. But what actually goes into making a watch? Well, it takes skilled artisans and craftsmen to be able to create such a high quality timepiece. Each watch is in fact a work of art, made up of a combination of hundreds of tiny and intricate components, a process that involves immense precision and a high attention to detail. From the designing and assembling of the movement itself to the fine details of the dial in its hands. One of the most fascinating aspects of watchmaking is their intricate complications that can be added to them. These are additional functions beyond the standard time-telling capability, such as a chronograph, moon phase display, or tourbillon. These complications require a high degree of technical skill and precision to manufacture, and they often add to their greater value and prestige. As the popularity of watches grew, so did the competition and the industry itself. Over the years, numerous brands have emerged, each bringing their own unique styles and feature sets. Some of the most popular brands point to the likes of Rolex, Omega, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, just to name a few. Brands that have become almost synonymous with quality, luxury, and high status. Watches have also made appearances in popular culture, with many models becoming iconic in their own rights. For example, the Rolex Submariner has been worn by James Bond in numerous films, and the Omega Speedmaster was worn by astronauts during their Apollo missions. Another watch, the Casio G-Shock, is known for its rugged and durable design, becoming a favourite in the hip-hop community originally, worn by rappers like Eminem, Kanye, and Jay-Z. A watch with a shock-resistant construction that's affordable to the average consumer. One other iconic example is the Paul Newman Daytona, a highly coveted watch that's iconic due to being named after the legendary actor and race car driver. This watch from the 60s was worn in many of Newman's films. The watch has an exotic dial with an attractive and recognisable colour scheme. This watch is highly sought after by collectors, with models reaching extremely high prices due to the rarity and value of it. Today, watches have evolved into much more than simple timepieces. They have become fashion accessories, symbols of status, and even high-tech gadgets of sorts. Modern watches, for example, come equipped with features like GPS, fitness trackers that track your movement in steps, and even smartphone connectivity and Bluetooth. These are smartwatches, and they're a different kind of watch, but useful and stylish in their own respect, often worn in synergy with a classic watch, one on each arm. The watch industry has made efforts towards sustainability, with manufacturers implementing eco-friendly practices and using recycled materials. This is a step towards creating a more responsible and sustainable industry. Vintage watches have also become increasingly sought after by collectors, and some of these models can fetch astronomical auction prices. Collectors often look for rare and unique pieces and go to extreme lengths to find them. Watches nowadays play a significant role in cultural history. They are often used to mark important events such as graduations, promotions and retirements, and are often given as gifts to mark significant occasions such as weddings, birthdays and meetings. Watches have come a long way since their inception, from the ancient sundials to the high-tech smartwatches of today. They've become a symbol of luxury and style. Whether you prefer vintage or modern styles, mechanic or electronic, there's a watch out there for you. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting content like this, and consider checking out this video on why Richard Mille watches are so unbelievably expensive.